Artificial Frontier Podcast.
All right, so we're back for another deep dive, and today things are going to get a little bit, well, mysterious.
Mysterious is putting it lightly.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're going to be digging into the death of Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, yeah, this is a classic.
A classic, and we're going to be going through a bunch of different types of sources.
Oh, we've got it all.
We've got news articles, we've got biographies.
We even got some YouTube deep dives.
Oh, yeah, very interesting perspectives in those.
Yeah, from all over the place.
So you're going to be able to be like an armchair detective and go through all of this with us and figure out, piece it all together.
Yeah, what do you think happened?
Exactly.
So before we jump to that fateful night in London, let's go back a little bit to 1970.
1970, yeah.
Hendrix was at the top of his game musically.
At the top of the world.
Yeah, selling out stadiums.
Yeah.
But if you look at the sources, he was also dealing with a lot of personal demons.
Oh, absolutely.
Fatigue.
Disillusionment with the industry.
And don't forget those relationship struggles, too.
Oh, that's right. We can't underestimate those.
Right. All of this could have made him really vulnerable.
For sure.
Maybe more susceptible to being manipulated.
Or even just more reckless.
Right. Exactly.
And then there was his manager.
Yes, Michael Jeffrey.
Michael Jeffrey.
This is going to get interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note here that we're going to be talking about him a lot later.
Oh, yeah. He's a big part of the story.
He is. But just to set the stage.
Yeah.
There was some serious tension between them.
There was.
There were even legal battles.
Yeah. Hendrix felt trapped.
Yes, both creatively and financially.
He suspected Jeffrey was siphoning off his earnings.
And he thought he was trying to control his whole career.
It even went as far as orchestrating a staged kidnapping.
A staged kidnapping.
Yeah. Now, whether that kidnapping was real or just a story, we don't really know for sure.
That already sounds crazy.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it really shows how bad things were between them.
Oh, for sure.
That relationship was on the rocks.
Yeah, it was on the verge of imploding.
We could say that again.
And then on top of all of that...
What else?
There's this really weird thing.
What?
About a tarot card reading.
Tarot card reading. Oh, this is the one where they predict his death, right?
Yeah.
Before he even turns 30.
Before 30. Crazy.
Too perfect for this story.
Oh, yeah.
So, Hendrix goes on this trip to Morocco.
Okay.
And this clairvoyant draws the death card for him.
Whoa.
Spooky, right?
It is.
But here's the thing.
What's that?
Hendrix actually knew about this prediction.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he even mentioned it to friends.
Wow.
Yeah, in the months leading up to his death.
This is getting creepy.
Right.
So we have this incredibly talented but troubled musician.
Yeah.
We've got a potentially shady manager.
Oh, he's shady, all right.
And then this prophecy hanging over everything.
What a setup.
I know, right? All right, so let's fast forward.
Fast forward to when?
September 18th, 1972.
Ah, the night Hendrix died.
That's right.
So what's the official story?
Well, according to the authorities, the cause of death was asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation, huh?
Yeah, they said he overdosed on barbiturates and then aspirated on his own vomit.
Classic rock and roll tragedy. At least that's how it seemed at first.
Yeah, it all seemed pretty straightforward, at least initially.
Right.
The original story came from his girlfriend at the time, Monica Danneman.
Monica Danneman. Okay.
She's the one who found him unresponsive at her flat in London and called for help.
Right, but they really relied on her testimony, didn't they?
They did, and it turns out that might have been a problem.
Oh. How so?
Well, there are some holes in her story, inconsistencies that raise a lot of questions about what really happened that night.
Sounds like we're about to dive into some conspiracy theories.
You know, let's do it.
So it seems like an open and shut case, right?
Well, not so fast.
What do you mean?
The sources point to some pretty big problems with that overdose explanation.
Okay, like what? Well, for starters, remember Monica Danneman said Hendrix was alive when the ambulance got there?
Right, she called for help.
Yeah, but get this, the paramedics and the doctor at the hospital, they all said he was already dead.
Dead when they arrived.
Dead when they arrived.
But she said he was alive.
Exactly. There's a huge inconsistency.
And not only that, I was reading about the wine thing.
Ah, yes, the wine.
What was up with that?
It's one of the strangest things about this whole case.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So, Danneman said they had a bottle of white wine.
White wine, okay.
But when they examined Hendrix, they found a ton of red wine in his lungs and stomach.
Red wine.
Red wine, and way more than you'd expect from just casual drinking.
So where did that come from?
Nobody really knows.
Okay, so we've got a messed up timeline,
Right.
mysterious red wine appearing out of nowhere,
Yep.
and a rock star who's already dead when help arrives, even though his girlfriend says he was alive.
You starting to see why people think there's more to this story?
Oh yeah, this is getting really suspicious.
It is. And all these unanswered questions, they lead some people to think maybe there was foul play involved.
Foul play, you mean
Like maybe it wasn't an accident at all.
wow. Okay, this is heavy stuff.
It is. And to understand some of the theories, we need to talk more about Michael Jeffrey,
All right, the manager.
the manager. But remember, he was more than just that.
Yeah, the sources paint him as a pretty scary dude.
Oh, he was former British intelligence, possible ties to organized crime. Some people described him as downright menacing.
Menacing, wow.
Yeah, and don't forget, Hendrix himself was starting to get really suspicious of him, too.
He thought Jeffrey was stealing from him.
Stealing from him, trying to control him, even that whole kidnapping thing, remember?
Oh yeah, the staged kidnapping.
It all points to a relationship that was about to explode.
Yeah, Hendrix was trying to get out of his contract with Jeffrey.
He wanted to be free, control his own career, his own money, make the music he wanted to make.
And it sounds like Jeffrey wasn't going to let that happen easily.
Not easily at all.
So, what are people saying? Was Jeffrey actually involved in Hendrix's death?
Well, there's this whole theory, and it's a wild one.
Lay it on me.
Years after Hendrix died, this guy, James Tappy Wright, he used to be a roadie for the Animals.
The Animals, okay.
Yeah, well, he claimed that Jeffrey actually confessed to him.
Confessed to what?
Confessed to being involved in Hendrix's death.
He confessed to a roadie.
That's what Wright said. He said Jeffrey admitted to hiring people to make it look like an overdose.
To make it look like an accident.
Exactly. And Wright claimed the motive was money.
Money, of course.
Jeffrey was supposedly in deep with some dangerous people, maybe even the mafia,
The Mafia,
and he was terrified of losing his biggest moneymaker,
which was Hendrix.
which was Hendrix, exactly.
Wow, so if this is true, what about the red wine?
Wright claims Jeffrey described a pretty gruesome scene.
Oh no,
Yeah, basically forcing Hendrix to drink a ton of red wine.
that's horrible.
It is, and a lot of people are skeptical about Wright's story.
Yeah, I mean, why would he wait so long to tell anyone?
He says he was scared, afraid for his own safety.
Makes sense. Jeffrey had a reputation.
He did. And don't forget, Jeffrey died in a plane crash just a few years later.
Oh yeah, so maybe Wright felt safer talking after that.
Maybe, but still, it's a hard story to believe.
It is. So what about other theories? You mentioned the FBI before.
Oh, yeah, the FBI.
What's their connection to all of this?
Well, there's this program they had called COINTELPRO.
COINTELPRO, I've heard of that.
It was basically a secret operation to disrupt groups they considered dangerous.
Like who?
Civil rights activists, anti-war protesters, all kinds of people.
But why would they go after Hendrix?
He was pretty vocal in his support for the Black Panthers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, even performed at a benefit concert for them.
That's a pretty bold move back then.
It was. And remember, this was a time when the FBI was super paranoid about anything that seemed even remotely subversive.
So they were watching him.
Oh, yeah, they definitely had him on their radar.
But did they actually do anything? Did they have anything to do with his death?
There's no proof of that. It's just speculation. But it makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. So we've got the overdose, the vengeful manager, the FBI conspiracy, any other possibilities. Yeah, and wasn't there something about sleeping pills?
Oh, yeah. They found a full pack of Esperax, a strong sleeping pill, and only a few were missing.
If he wanted to kill himself, wouldn't he have taken more?
You would think so. It doesn't really add up.
So suicide is probably not the answer.
Probably not. But it just goes to show how many questions there are about what really happened at Monica Danneman's flat that night.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
Exactly. And despite all the investigations and all the theories, the truth is still out there somewhere.
So where do we even begin to unpack all of this? What are the biggest things that stand out to you from all the stuff we've talked about?
Well, it's hard to ignore those timeline issues, you know? And that red wine, I mean, that really throws a wrench to that simple overdose story.
Yeah, for sure. And what about that confession from Michael Jeffrey? You know, the one from the roadie, James Tappy Wright?
That's a tough one. It's dramatic, no doubt. But why would he wait so long to say anything?
Right, you have to wonder about that. It makes you think, what was he afraid of?
Exactly. We can't just take his word for it, but we can't ignore it either. It's a piece of the puzzle.
It is, and there are so many pieces, right? Like the FBI theory, that one's fascinating.
It is, but without solid evidence, it's hard to say how much weight it holds.
Right, it's all speculation at this point.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're at with a lot of this. Speculation. We've got a tragic accident with some really weird details. Or maybe something more sinister happened.
And maybe a cover-up.
A cover-up's a possibility, especially if someone powerful was involved.
So what do we do with all this uncertainty? Can we ever know for sure?
I don't know if we can. But that's what makes this so interesting, right? We've given you the information, the different sides of the story. Now it's up to you to weigh the evidence and decide what you think happened.
That's a good point. We've laid it all out, and now it's up to you, the listener, to be the detective.
Be the judge and jury.
Exactly. You know, it's kind of like we've been on this journey together, haven't we? Through all these theories and possibilities.
We have. We've explored a lot of different paths, and they've all led us to more questions.
And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's what makes this story so captivating, you know?
I agree. The mystery.
Yeah.
The unanswered questions. It's a reminder that some things will always remain a mystery.
Yeah, and maybe that's the beauty of it all. It keeps us thinking. It keeps us searching for answers. And who knows, maybe one day someone will uncover that one piece of evidence that changes everything.
Wouldn't that be something?
It would. But until then, we'll have to keep digging, keep exploring. And, you know, I have a feeling we're going to be talking about this one for a long time.
Artificial Frontier Podcast.